Oh, there you go.
So, we've had a pretty good year considering what's been going on around us. We've both been in good health, and we're very blessed and very grateful. So I'd like to bring some of that with us to the new.
What a gift. What a gift. And I see Arnie's there too. Hello, Arnie.
In his chair.
So good. So good. Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am new to this community. I met with Aliza last week, so I'm excited to be here. What am I bringing into the new year? I'm starting a new internship and job, so just looking to learn and grow.
Amazing. Amazing.
Oh, hi. Welcome, Sarah. I'm a COVID casualty. I stopped working because of COVID because I was a dentist, and I retired dentist now because I'm at that tender age of being more at high risk. So I'm diving into my the creative side of doing art, oil painting and things like that. So I'm bringing creativity hopefully into the new year.
Amazing. Amazing. Josh.
Josh. Yeah, I'm Josh, and just glad to have another good new year, I figure. Yeah.
Wonderful. Alana.
Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome, Sarah. That's awesome. I am bringing the fact that my kids are starting TE preschool into the new year, which is life-changing for all of us, or will be. We're so excited.
We are too. We are too. Herb.
I just got a brand new computer and I'm trying it out. So.
That's amazing. We're so honored. This is awesome. Awesome. Yeah, Elle. Oops. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Marilyn. I'll skip for the moment.
Okay. Glenda.
Hi. I missed the question, but I think I heard, what am I bringing into the new year? Is that?
Exactly. You are so intuitive and on.
Oh my goodness. I am bringing ongoing gratitude. I am bringing transition. I've transitioned. I've changed my work position and I have reduced it quite dramatically and have all sorts of wonders of what the new year will bring for me. But I know that one certainty will be more time with my granddaughter.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you. Miriam.
I think for the new year, I want to bring in sort of a renewed sense of self and positivity and new life going forward. Just be the best I can be, the best person, make the most of things, make the best of things, and just be as positive as I can all the way around.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Amy and Steve. Oh, you guys are muted. Unmute though, please. There you go.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So we just joined. We're a little bit late. Is there a question that was asked?
We're sharing your name and one bit of sweetness you're bringing into this year.
The time to study with Rachel Corazim and other classes has been terrific.
Amazing.
And I think just we're in the Berkshires on a lake, and I think that serenity, being on the water and the canoe and the kayak, that just really settled.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you. All right, Andrea. Or is that Andrea?
Hi. Yeah, I just joined.
It is
Andrea. I also joined a little bit late, and I didn't hear the question very well.
You're all good. We're sharing your name and a bit of sweetness that you're bringing into this year.
Oh,
It'll be difficult for you because you just got married and you're celebrating so many wonderful things.
Yeah, I think basically what you just said. And a little bit of, I think, resilience would be like one of the things important to bring into this year as well, because it's been a difficult year and everything, and if we just like put it back together and just learn that for next year, I think that we would be stronger than before.
Amazing. And Rudy.
Hi, let me turn on my video.
Oh, fabulous.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so I just joined in late. So what is the question?
You're sharing a name and one bit of sweetness we're bringing into the year.
Okay, my name is Ruti Bakor. Sweetness, well, I think we are really, how everybody's working hard to keep things positive. I think the positiveness of everybody in the community, it's really amazing.
Wonderful. So we're going to get started in just a minute, but before we do, I'm going to invite you to grab a couple of supplies. So one supply is paper and or a journal. If you have a journal that you regularly use or pieces of paper, you'll want 2 pieces of paper or a journal. And then writing supplies. You can have colored markers or just a regular pen. So we're going to pause for 45 seconds to a minute to make sure everybody can get their supplies. A lot of this is going to be internal introspection, and you might want to take notes and create your map so that when we get to the high holidays, you are set to go. So, and while we're doing that, I'm going to put on some music for us while we're waiting. Give me a moment to get it going.
How's Solomon?
He is good, thank you.
Good. Tell him hi.
I will. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So I think there are a couple of just joined us. If you're just joining us, we're grabbing paper and pens, and we're going to be getting started in just a moment. I'm just looking to see. Is everyone back? I should say, is there anyone who would like more time? Feel free to send me a private message if you'd like more time. Just looking to see. Looks like everyone, except for we're missing Bonnie. All right, and Josh and Nancy, if you can grab writing equipment, we're going to be doing some journaling. Perfect.
Great, thanks, Heather.
Perfect. So this is such a joy to get to share this process. I grew up as a part of the Jewish renewal community in Boulder, Colorado. And every year the community would go on a spiritual retreat. And the idea was that most of the work of the high holidays you actually can't do in services. Most of the work of the high holidays is really getting clear about what it is that you want to bring forward into this year. What are the ways of being that have really served you in this past year? And what would you maybe like to change or add or adjust to be more full in this coming year? And so the workshop is a process that is designed to help us each reflect on who we have been and who we would like to be. Tonight, we're doing sort of a hybrid model. We're going to be learning a little bit about the 4 Kabbalistic worlds, which is a way of understanding how we are, what we are, who we are. And then we're going to be doing interspersed some singing and a process of journaling through remembering the year as it has been. So what I'm going to invite you to do is we're going to begin, and I'm going to invite you to simply start by creating, and I'm going to show you this before we do this. You're going to create a calendar, so to speak, of your year. And on one sheet of paper, you're going to write out all of the months of this past year from Elul to Elul. August, September, October, November, each month. And on each month, you're going to write things that happened. So I'll show you, I did this too. So I'm going to pause the screen share for just a moment to show you. What you're going to end up with is something that looks like this. So you have each month, and each month has a list of things that happened in that month. So, and you may want to, if you're a person that keeps a daily planner, you may want to go to that planner. But our first thing is just really going to be thinking back to, where were we a year ago, August? It was just starting to be fall, right? It had been a really hot summer. The leaves were still on the trees until very, very late. Where were you? What were you doing in August? You might have been getting ready for a graduate program. You might have been moving across the country. You might have been settling more into regular rhythms. And then you might move to September. And if you're still in August, feel free to stay in August. No pressure. How were the high holidays for you last year? It's a pretty wild year in that the leaves really didn't start falling in September. They were still in the trees, just barely turning. What was happening for you in September? I'm going to invite you to continue processing through each month of the year until you have a year of reflections of where you were for each month. And as you do, I'm going to continue the chant of Yofia that we started before. Harachaman, 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 Hare Harachaman, 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 Lodi li vanilo, Haroeva Shoshanim, Lodi li 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 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 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 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 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 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 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 하루에 마쇼샤님 도리리란니로 도리리란니로 도리리란니로. I'm gonna take a couple more minutes wherever you are, and this doesn't have to be the end of this process. Sometimes I find that as you're making your calendar of the year, you remember more and more of what happened and more context, and you end up going back and filling it in the days after. Everybody about ready to come back? Great. So I am going to, we're such a small group, I'm going to invite us to share anything that came up for you that was surprising as you were going through making this calendar of the year.
Hi, Aliza.
Go for it.
So I realized that I'm blanking on anything pre-COVID. It's like it didn't exist. I'm really struggling.
Yeah. Did you put COVID on your calendar?
I was just getting to it.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important marker. It's like pre-pandemic and post-pandemic are really big shifts.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a really important part of this past year.
Yeah. Right before we saw the kids, and I know that because we haven't seen them since. That was huge. But I'm really, October, November, December, really struggling.
Yeah. Other observations or other things that caught you by surprise?
I'll share.
Go for it.
Just noticing that most of the things I'm putting on there are work related and less things that revolve around joy. So maybe that's something that should work on cultivating more of or paying more attention to.
Can definitely join you in that. Other observations or surprises?
Had some good ones from pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Remembering a few into it as well. Yep.
Great.
Mine was the opposite of Sarah's. Everything is about my kids, what age they're turning and what the breaks at preschool and what they're doing. So all kid related, nothing about me.
I realized that mine is completely different from what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I think everybody's, but it's very, very different from what I thought.
In what way is it different, Andrea?
Well, I got married and I planned my wedding in 2 weeks. Definitely not saw that a year ago, for example. Or I moved to Boston and I had no like specific plan on doing that. All these little things. I left London, left Europe. It's a lot of changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other observations or things that you wish to share about this process of making this?
Well,
You know, may I?
Yes, and then we'll go to Myrna after Sigalit and then Myrna.
Okay. I remember clearly the attacking Zoom in every hour of the day once we were not allowed to meet in person. And tell you the truth, at this point, I'm ready to just back off from Zoom. I shut off all of my extracurricular Zoom activities because it just became too much, and shifted completely to and transitioned to preparing the semester. And instead of participating in like leisurely literature classes with Rachel Korazim and Hartman, to, professional development for technology, professional development for this, for that, so COVID.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I hear you. I hear you, Myrna.
Family focus, particularly growing up grandchildren who are in college and working in New York. And the highlight were when they came home to Newton for a visit, or when they had time to come and say hello to their grandparents, or things like that. It was very, very low key. Our life was sort of a little bit like COVID in that we're home a lot at this stage of life. Arnold has some trouble walking and getting around. So we're around a lot. But I do have your wedding on my calendar there, and we danced. And we watched you dance. And that was really quite a tour de force, I must say.
It was such a joy to get to share that with you. Amazing, amazing.
Yeah. So, looking at the calendar each month, like August till March, like I am here, I live in Boston by myself while I have my sons in New York and relatives in Montreal. And looking like we always go to Montreal for the high holidays. And October, there was a big wedding that we all went, people get together. My mother came from Florida, and suddenly January, go to Florida to see everybody. Suddenly the pandemic hits, and here I am by myself at home, kids in New York, like borders closed, can't go for Pesach to Montreal, and thanks God for Zoom.
Yeah.
That connected us. That was the only way to connect. So and just to think that these high holidays, I can't go back to Montreal. I can't see my relatives there. It's really like I'm gonna be doing the Zoom, but eating here at home by myself. It's really hard.
Yeah, totally hear that. Totally hear that. Yeah, I think one of the things that we're all holding this year is, right, in normal times, every year you have most of the events that you put on your calendar are things that you chose, or things that you you know, maybe it was a conflict or something, but you had a role in shaping that. And COVID is just this external force that has turned all of our lives upside down. And so it's a really big part of the narrative as we come into this high holiday season. And it has affected us. My teacher, Rabbi Tirza Firestone, talks about COVID. If you take the letters of COVID and you put them into Hebrew, you might say kaved. And Sigalit will tell you that kavod, the word for honor, is both honor and heavy. It has both of those qualities. And so this time teaches us to honor those things that are most important to us. And it also has a certain weight to it. It's not an easy process of transformation. We're all metamorphosizing into this new reality. And COVID is the agent by which we're doing that. As long as, you know, God willing, none of us are affected physically by COVID, the pandemic itself, but we're able to take this time and do this process. So I'm gonna pivot us a little bit, and I want to share with you a couple of drawings. We're gonna pivot into a little bit of like a Jewish mysticism Kabbalah 101. So please bear with me. It may feel like a lot at the beginning, but I promise it will be meaningful, and we can maybe do a dance, or we'll get everything in here. Let me see if I can make this so you can see the whole of the picture. All right. So you should be able to see two images on the screen. Are they at least a little bit clear? Yes. Okay. So we are going to start with thinking about the four worlds. Now, Jewish mysticism has this idea that there are different worlds that we encounter. There's the physical world that you can touch, there's an emotional world, there's an intellectual world, and a spiritual world. And whereas, you know, if you were in a building and you had 4 different floors, right? Floor 1 happens to be physical and floor 2 is emotional, you could only be on one floor at a time. These worlds all interface and they're all interconnected. So, right, I can have a physical reality, like I stub my toe and have a hard time walking, and that generates a emotional reality and a conceptual reality of how I see myself, and a spiritual reality because now I'm very angry at God for letting me stub my toe, right? That's a trivial example, but all of these worlds have interconnections. The worlds in Kabbalistic thought are each represented by one of the letters of the Tetragrammaton. That is God's mystical, secret 4-letter name, Yud He Vav He. Good so far? Okay, so Yud He Vav He is the name that's the unpronounceable name of God. It is the name that we use for intercession when we're looking to bring God's qualities down, and we change around those letters depending on the qualities we want to ask of God. You'll notice in this right picture, the letters of God's name are mapped out, and in some ways you can even see that they sort of form a human body. You have, and let me get my handy dandy annotation thing. You have here this hay, and this hay forms what you might think of as the legs, the base of our body, right? The feet and legs that walk us through life. That's not a lot of thinking, it's a lot of doing. You have the Vav, which is your spine, your spinal column, right? That's the interneural communications between your brain and your body. That's feeling, that sensation. You have this hay, which are the arms. And Kabbalistically, those are the ideas that we're reaching out for. And then the Yud, which is the head. And my teacher, Reb Zalman, teaches that the reason that the Kabbalists mapped these 4 worlds onto the body and these 4 letters of God's name onto the body is that each one of us is created in God's image. And as we navigate these worlds, as we learn about these worlds, as we focus on transitioning between one world to another, we build the capacity to be more godlike, to be more divine, to be more spiritually connected, and to, in that way, affect more positive change in the world. Good so far? Still good so far? Okay, great. So there's a deeper breakdown over here. So here you'll see this drawing. And then after this, we're going to read a little bit about each of the worlds, but just to give you sort of a graphic overview. You'll notice that each of these circles, right, is both its separate circle and connected to other circles. They overlap. And by the way, we could draw this same thing, and I could put Asiya up here, and I could put Atzilut down here. We could shuffle them around. The worlds sort of exist in parallel universes, but also they have points of connection. You'll notice these are the 4 worlds, and we're going to get very good at these. There's the world of Asiya, which is this physical. That's this lower hay in the body. The world of Yetzira, which is feeling or emotion, and that's this Vav. Bria, which is knowledge, that's this upper hay, and Atzilut, spirituality. Now, give me permission for nerding out just a little bit more, and then I promise we'll get to applications for why I'm giving you all of this Jewish mysticism in a crash course. The way that Kabbalists understand godliness and God's aspects and God's presence is that there are these 10 sefirot, these 10 aspects of godliness. And that's what you're seeing in these smaller circles here throughout this diagram are each of the different aspects of godliness. So you have the top triad, which is a wisdom triad. Ketzer is spiritual connection. You then have Chokhmah and Bina, which are both sort of the wisdom that you intuitively know, your gut sense of what things are, and data-driven wisdom. You have Chesed, which is loving kindness. Gevura, which is strength or boundaries. You have Tiferet, which ends up being a balance between those two. You have Netzach, which is often translated as success. But Netzach and Hod, right, you'll see that they parallel this lower hay in some ways, even though they're mapped next to the Yetzirah. Netzach and Hod are 2 ways of getting things done. My Rabbi used to say that Netzach is kind of like if you get a Hummer vehicle and you like ram through a fence and you power through, you do stuff, you vanquish any obstacle. And Hod is like you have a gorgeous Ferrari or like a beautiful, a delicate way of approaching something. It's beautiful. Both are ways of getting something done. You have Yesod, creativity, and you have Malchut, which is the manifestation of divinity in the world. Okay. Super, super, super a lot. So we're going to take a pause moment and a stretch moment because we've been here for a while. So I'm going to pause with my share, and I'm going to invite anyone and everyone who would like to do a little bit of an interpretive movement with me. If you're part of Brotherhood, you've done this with me before, but we're going to literally bring these qualities in and ask for God. As we do so, we're going to ask God to be with us and to help us to open into all of these qualities so that when we move into our map, we're in a more present way of doing that, okay? So if you're able to, feel free to stand up. You can also do this from, if you want to do it from your seat, you can. I'm gonna move my computer so I can be fully visible. Let's see how I'm gonna do this. All right. Should be able to see me. Let's see, I'll make one quick adjustment. Okay. So we're going to start like this. Can everybody see me? So it's call and response. So it goes like this. Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut. We'll try it in English. Divine connection. One kind of wisdom. Another kind of wisdom. Loving kindness. Boundaries. Balance. success,
Success.
beauty,
What?
beauty,
Beauty.
Beauty.
creativity, the ability to manifest blessings into the world. All right, one more time. This will be our last time. One more time in English. Divine connection.
Divine connection.
One kind of wisdom. Another kind of wisdom. Loving kindness.
Loving kindness.
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Balance. Success.
Success.
Beauty.
Beauty.
Creativity. The ability to manifest blessings into the world.
Ability to manifest blessings into the world.
Amazing. Okay, so now we've gotten to stretch. We've gotten all these blessings into our bodies. We've done a little bit of a goofy motion. We've loosened up, and we are ready for our next stage of visioning and processing and reflecting. So we are going to take this knowledge. I'm going to invite, are there 4 people that would be willing to do a little bit of reading for us about these 4 worlds? Great. I see Glenda. I see Bonnie. I'm trusting there are 2 others that will volunteer for the moment. So we're going to read. These are descriptions from this amazing resource I highly recommend, Reb Zalman's Gate to the Heart. Gorgeous book full of delicious practices. And these are his summaries of the world. So we'll start with, Bonnie, why don't you start us off reading Asiya?
Asiya. Asiya, or doing, is the designation for the physical world of action, which includes action for spiritual purposes. It is the world of the guf and nefesh, the body and its energies, located in the realm of sensation and behavior. The Jewish code of religious practice, the halakha, operates largely in Asiya. On this level, religion trains people in behaviors intended to please God by obedience to the divine law, and piety is expressed mostly through gemilut chasidim, doing deeds of loving kindness and observing the mitzvot.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Glenda, would you read Yetzirah for us?
Yetzirah, the inner experience of feeling or deep emotion, is in the world of Yetzirah, where we find Ruah, the breath spirit. Yetzirah, which means formation, also involves images, values, and myths. On this level, piety is measured in terms of devoutness, the sincere feeling one invests in prayer and worship. Purification of emotions is one of the central tasks to be accomplished on this level and is a prerequisite for full entry into the world of Kabbalah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And I'm going to just invite whoever feels moved in the world of Bria, would you start reading this chapter?
Bria, the third level of reality in the world of Bria, or creation, the world of thinking and philosophy, thought or contemplation, where we seek to understand the blueprint of the universe. This is where the neshama is rooted. Bria also includes the faculties of concept, idea, hypothesis, and theory. On this level, piety expresses itself in how one invests time and awareness in the study of Torah and the esoteric teachings.
Amazing. And finally, one volunteer to read Atzilut. Again, feel free to just step forward and begin reading.
All right. The 4th level of reality is Atzilut, or emanation. This is the world of being, intuition, inner teaching, the secret and mystery of Sod, and the analogical level of interpretation. Atzilut is a deep divine intuition, a state of beingness with God. It is the source of inspiration, the place where we speak of God as a person, clothing the divine in a root metaphor, an archetypal image like father, mother, sovereign, healer, beloved, and friend.
Amazing. So now that we have these 4 worlds a little bit under our belt, and we recognize the qualities that exist in each of these worlds and the ways that they're interconnected, we're going to use them as a guide to do some more reflecting. So feel free to have your map handy of your year. We're now going to start to think about, how have I been in each of these 4 worlds, and how do I want to be? So I'm going to put up a grid. Let's see if I can make this. And this is our grid for what we're going to do. So I'm going to invite you to take a sheet of paper and divide it into 4 quadrants. And I've ranked mine sort of highest to lowest, moving down through the 4 worlds, but you can rank yours in whichever order you'd like. And I'm going to invite you to take a few moments to answer these questions. And I will make this available, this document available to you after the class, so don't worry about writing the questions down. I will send out actually the document right now so you have it. But go ahead and answer those questions and think about, how have you been? You may want to go ahead and begin with Asiya, wherever you put it on your quadrant, thinking about the physical realities in your life, right? This is the mess in your garage, or this is the, you know, the exercise that you want to be doing, or the diet changes that you wanted to be making, or this is, you know, clothing that you feel like, or how you are in your body, or how you're spending your time. This is the physicality of your life. And then moving on from there. How's everyone doing?
Tov.
So, are you ready for conversation? Still working? Ready for conversation? I'm seeing some nodded heads. Okay. So I will be delighted to send the document out to everyone, and I will try to send to everyone. If you haven't sent me your email, feel free to send me your preferred email, and I will do my best to get it to you. What I want to just hear from you now is what was that? First of all, I'm guessing for many of us on the screen, that was the first time of going through and reflecting in sort of a 4 worlds. Was that a helpful framework in terms of thinking about your year in review and how you'd like to move forward in this coming year?
Yes.
Tell me more.
Well, one of the ways that I'm a speech language pathologist, and I worked with children most of my life. And these are the 4 areas that I've always considered key to meeting and reaching another person. And I think of it because it spells PIE, P-I-E-S, right? The physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the spiritual. And you've got to look at another person as a whole pie and not just one part. So filling out all of these areas of our lives for just this 1 12-month period and seeing what we've done and what we want to do is a very nice format for me. It speaks to me. I resonate to it very much.
I take 0 credit for this. It's something I learned from my rabbi, Reb Tirza Firestone, and Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi. It's just something that I'm delighted to get to share. I've found it to be very helpful.
Easy to remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Other things that you noticed this year, was it helpful to you? What was the process like as you were going through these 4 worlds? Go for it, Elena.
I think that in our society, some of these are more encouraged than others. So there's a lot of emphasis on how are you feeling? I may be guilty of that, but feelings are not everything. And I liked that knowledge was there, and I like spirituality was there and the physical was there. So I just feel like it added a few other elements that people don't talk about as much or encouraged as much.
Mm-hmm. Were there any worlds that you felt like you were particularly rooted in or that you spent a lot of time in? Go for it, Steve.
So first, overall, I thought the questions were very specific and therefore very helpful. It brought things very much down to earth. So I think the questions as written are helpful. I noticed that this has been, especially since the beginning of COVID, a very big year for Asiya. So I was filling that page. I'm going through the basement here and in Newton. I've been raking. I'm putting in a new garden and have a gigantic hole and dealing with a gigantic boulder that I'm trying to decide who's going to win, and on and on and on. So just, and I was saying earlier in the year when people said to me as a psychologist, so like, what's good to do? I was saying raking. Get outside and rake and do something physical was very helpful. So my Asiya corner is very filled.
It has been a season of Asiya.
I will say one other thing, sort of the other. This reminded me of one of my favorite prayers in the morning minyan, right after Kedusha, when we go from sort of public to private, and we say, Atah chonen la'adam da'at, right? And just to go through the distinctions of da'at and bina, haskel, all those subtleties of our abilities, our quote unquote higher abilities as human beings. So this was very much connected to that for me.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous, right after the Kedusha, we go into this beautiful prayer of discernment and of thanking God for our intellectual abilities and our ability to grasp knowledge and to channel that knowledge into powerful action. And I'm totally with you. It's a gorgeous prayer and a really gorgeous intention as well. Anything, and I ask also the question, anything that surprised you as a part of this entering into the four worlds? Is it different, right? We're doing two different ways of approaching this reflection. One is very, linear, metrical. You can go back through your calendars and just see what were you doing. And then this is more subjective. Where are you? Did anything come up that surprised you that you may not have thought about otherwise, or that you had thought about but maybe wasn't at the front of your mind?
Yes, I think the spiritual, for me, we found a lot of comfort and support in going to minyan every night. That's something I never did in my life. Not every night. Counted the Omar this year. Never did that before. I've memorized parts of the minyan now, and I find that it goes along with our efforts at meditation this particular year. And so there were many. I'm not ausgesumt. I know a lot of people are very, very tired of Zoom, and I just count on it so much for all the things it brings into our home, and especially from the synagogue. The spiritual has just been beautiful. And tonight, for example, it lifted our hearts. It raised us up. So thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the first time I actually dare doing this exercise. It's been going around the rabbinical school for a while. And what I find surprising is the interconnectivity between the Atzilut and the Asiya and the Bri'ah, Asiya and Yetzirah. The interconnectivity between the worlds, I kind of drew lines, arrows, as I was writing and reflecting, and just surprised me, actually.
Yeah, we'd really like to think everything can be compartmentalized and separate, and it's all very, very connected. And it's also, I think, when you're aware of that, that's when real change can happen, because you can look at, right, when I have a behavioral pattern of always leaving the dishwasher open, for example, not that this is my thing, but let's say it is, then it has a spiritual and emotional component too. And I can't just solve for the physical. I have to solve for all levels in order to move forward. You have to see, like, what am I getting in each one of these worlds? Because clearly it's doing something for me, and not just causing me to stub my toe every single time I walk by it, for example. How is that? Rick, you want to say?
Oh, no, I was just reflecting on how I was impressed by this exercise, how it brought out something I didn't really think about, but I've been, this has been a tough year for me, and some highs and lows, but mostly lows. And so I really have found that I really, all the things I'm writing show that I'm nurturing myself. I'm just kind of sort of like licking my wounds and getting through things, so it's, without bringing I don't want to go into it because, it's not the proper place, but yeah, this is but it's a very effective exercise. I'm impressed, and I agree with Bonnie that I really do. I'm not on Zoom like all the time, like maybe Sigalit is in a school setting or whatever, but I really get a lot out of it, and I enjoy it, and so I don't really get the Zoom fatigue so much as some people do. And I wanted to have a shout out to Bonnie for that mnemonic device for pies. I like that. So so thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's totally awesome. So we're going to wrap up. We could spend hours and days in this period of reflection. I just want to really thank everyone for participating so fully. It's not an easy thing to do spiritual contemplation or reflection on Zoom, and I really deeply appreciate your willingness to dive in and to share and to be vulnerable and open. There are a couple of different practices during the month of Elul that I just want to leave you with, encourage you to take part in. One really important practice is listening to shofar every single day during the month of Elul. So feel free, you can join our morning minyan. If you're not up by then, you can go on YouTube and click shofar blowing, and you can hear a shofar any time of day that you would like. There are some gorgeous videos, beautiful seascapes and landscapes and great shofar players. So one is listening to shofar. Another is finishing any unfinished business. So, that email that's in your inbox that you haven't yet responded to, that you keep meaning to, a letter to someone, reaching out to old friends, reconnecting, healing relationships, any unfinished business, you want to be able to go into the year having finished everything. And finally, there's a practice of reciting. This is a practice throughout the whole year, but particularly during the month of Elul, of reciting before bed a prayer of forgiveness, saying out loud, "Behold, I am forgiving everyone in the world, anyone who has harmed me, whether it's physical or emotional, spiritual, or intellectually. I forgive them. I don't want them to suffer on my account. Please, God, help me to release any negativity, to release any challenging emotions, and to move forward in healing and in strength." So those three practices I really strongly encourage you to take advantage of in this coming year of as tools to get us into the high holidays. And when you come to services, I encourage you to bring your calendars and to bring your maps and to daven with them. You don't just create them to work on ahead of time. If this is something to daven with, and as you're praying, you can be like, okay, God, I put this on my list. I'm really trying to work on the dynamic that I have with this person. It's a really challenging dynamic. I need your help. I need your wisdom. Tell me what I should do. Give me wisdom. Give me guidance here. Or, okay, God, I'm open to learning more. Show me the way. Show me how I should be doing that. Whatever it is, bring that into your davening. It really is a transformative practice into that davening. So I want to pause here for any questions before we wrap up. Amazing. And I'm just going to ask us for one last sweet go round. If you wouldn't just mind, we're going to close out by sharing one last bit of sweetness. So please, we'll go around. We'll start with Sigalit, and we'll go around. I'll just call you in the order of my screen. And share, please, one thing that you're taking with you from our time together tonight.
That there is a lot of work to do in the world, for me too.
Thank you. Miriam.
I think taking the time to really stop and think about these things and work on them individually and even collectively together.
Thank you. Andrea.
I think for me, mostly just reflection in general. Just slow down and reflect.
Thank you. Josh.
exchanging with one another tonight. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, El. Come back to you, El. Rick.
Hi. So my sweetness that I'm bringing up is this is really a takeaway sweetness, this class, because you are a very effective and a teacher and leader of this. So I'm very impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenda.
Thank you, Rick, for what you said. I totally thank you for this. Made me think a lot, and I want to go forward with all the fullness of the spirituality and the physical and the intellectual, emotional, but especially I want to continue to learn so much more as I move into this new year in every which way.
Amen, amen. Amy.
I think the sweetness is the time to focus on how all four worlds connect. For me, for everyone, but to just that focus is a sweetness that I hadn't expected to see, all that interconnectedness.
Thank you. Steve.
I think the sweetness is that there are things that I can do, and you just gave 3 tips, so to speak. There are things that I can do to make me better and make it a better year.
Thank you. Alana.
I want to thank you for just honestly thinking about knowledge. I haven't been thinking about it very much. I've been focusing on doing. And so I do get a lot of joy out of learning, including this class, and just realizing that I should be doing more of it.
Thank you. Betsy.
I think realizing that I can be open to things that I have a tendency to not open up to.
Thank you. Myrna. Myrna, we can't quite hear you. Is it possible for you to be closer to your device? No, we can't.
I think she's muted.
Now you're muted. Try unmuting now.
Oh dear.
All right, I'm going to try to read your lips. We've got this. All right, go for it. Go for it.
To be continued.
To be continued. Better.
We heard you just there. If you speak a little closer to your device, I think we can hear you.
I don't know what, I must have the sound turned down. I'm going to blame Arnold.
Well, we can hear you now, so would you like to share?
Well, I don't often analyze my behavior and circumstances, and I really need to be less afraid of doing that and go into the new year with a more positive attitude.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whatever.
Larry.
This is becoming more aware of these 4 different avenues to experience life. It's been a very enlightening evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Annie.
There are a lot of these areas that I feel I've been working on. Maybe the one that's I feel more timid about and need courage for, and what I want to take forward is in really doing something about what I believe in for the coming fall. I've been writing postcards for my candidate and sending texts, learning how to work with millions of other women around the whole United States. And I think this has given me more courage to maybe try the telephone banks as well. Because I've just been too timid to do that. And if I really believe in this, I really should work for it. So that might be a big takeaway.
Amen. Well, thank you all so much for participating so fully. I will do my best to send you all via the email addresses that I have a copy of the source sheet that we used for tonight. And Shana Tova Umetuka, cannot wait to see you in this coming year.
Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi
you.
Aliza.
Yeshikoah, Yeshikoah.
Thank you, everybody,
Thank you, everyone.
for sharing.